Hello and welcome to Forever Rugby on Forever Sports. For today's preview, Springboks versus Argentina, the opening round of the Rugby Championship, and a very, very changed Springboks side from the side that won the British and Irish Lions series a little under a week ago. Up against a very, very good Argentina side. In fact, Unzardina Stick reckons it's probably the best Argentina side that they can probably put out. So it's going to be a massive, massive test for quite an inexperienced side, a lot of players on the sort of the fringes who are getting an opportunity to try and show what they are worth this weekend, and a massive chance for them to really sort of take their chance with both hands and to really sort of make a statement and try and sort of tell the other players that they might have beaten the British and Irish Lions, but if they don't keep performing, that their place could be under threat, as well as showing the coaching staff that they are, still in their plans and still players that can be backed and can be relied upon. Before we look at the teams themselves, please do smash like on the video and subscribe to the channel. Today's show is also brought to you by Manscaped, who is the #1 choice in men's below the waist grooming. There are over 2 million men who trust Manscaped. They have recently launched in South Africa with their new 4th generation trimmer, the Lawnmower 4.0, which has a bunch of cool features such as a travel lock, being waterproof, wireless charging, as well as their revolutionary skin safe technology. You can get 20% off as well as free shipping with the code FOREVER at manscaped.com. So do go and check them out. In terms of the teams for tomorrow, this is how South Africa will line up. Siya Kolisi will lead the side, but there's an all-new front row, as we know, of Oxenchair, Joseph Dwebe and Wilco Low. Evan Etzebeth and Luat de Jager will continue their partnership from last weekend against the Lions. But a new sort of loose trio in Siya Kolisi, Kwagga Smith and Jasper Wiese, a very, very mobile loose trio. We saw Franco Mostert filling in for Peter Steph du Toit, but he's being given the week off after a grueling Lions series. So it will be Kwagga Smith in the #7 jumper. Kobus Reinach keeps his place, but he has a new fly half partner in Elton Jantjies, who comes to the fore. Didn't get to play against the Lions, but did come off the bench against Georgia. He'll get a chance to start in what is apparently going to be quite tricky conditions tomorrow. And the rest of the backline is also very, very different. Apelele Fassi and Spoon Corsi have come in as the two wings. Apelele Fassi, usually a fullback, will get around at wing, like we did see against Georgia, where he scored a try on debut. The two centers will be Frans Steyn and Jesse Creel. Haven't had a lot of game time. Frans Steyn probably coming to the end of his Springbok career, and Jesse Creel, a chance for him to try and keep himself in the fold and to try and sort of let Lukhanyo know that whilst he is the #1 choice at the moment, he does have a very good understudy who is willing to try and do whatever it takes to get back into that starting lineup. And then Damian Willemse will get a rare start for the Springboks after making most of his appearances off the bench. He'll come on. He'll be starting at fullback and will be covering quite a lot of the backline, given the fact that if you look at the bench, we've gone with a 6-2 split. Malcolm Marx, Trevor Nyakane, Vincent Koch, the bomb squad from the weekend in terms of the front row continue, but Marvin Ori comes in at covering lock, but Malcolm is starting, keeps his place, and Dan de Preer is into the side as well. The other two backline players will be Herschel Jantjies and Morné Steyn, so quite a few questions on who Morné Steyn will replace. Obviously, Elton Jantjies is the sort of the logical choice position-wise, but there's a lot of question marks whether Frans Steyn can last a full 80 minutes, and if so, will we see Morné Steyn at fullback, or will we see Elton Jantjies at inside centre? If Frans Steyn has to come off, we could then see Damian Willemse shifting to inside centre, so it's quite a flexible side in terms of a lot of players who can slot in at different places if needs be. So there's quite a lot of flexibility in terms of our backline players. But it's a very interesting side. I think it's a good side. I think it's a nice mix of bringing a couple of players in. A lot of people saying, why aren't Malcolm Marx, Trevor Nyakane, and Vincent Koch getting a run in? But I think that, we want to make sure that if it doesn't go particularly well in the 40 minutes, we've got a lot of big players who can come on in the second half and make a difference. So I think that's probably the thinking between that front row. We are up against a very, very good Argentina side, which looks something like this. Right, so Julian Montoya will lead the side. No Augustin Creevy these days after retirement. So Montoya, who's had to spend a lot of time on the bench, being behind one of the best hookers in the world, he will lead the side. He has Nahel Tetes Chaparro as well as Francisco Gomez Cordela on the other side. And it's a very, very strong and powerful front row, which will definitely give the Springbok front row quite a lot to think about. In the second row, you've got Guido Petty as well as Marcus Kramer. We all know how good a player, especially Kramer, is. Very, very good at the lineouts, very, very experienced, and he'll be a definite player to watch tomorrow, as will Pablo Matera, who was absolutely terrific against New Zealand last year when they went over and beat the All Blacks after all those months of not playing. So make sure you watch out for Matera. The other two players in the loose trio are Facundo Isa as well as Rodrigo Bruni. So it's a very good. This is probably your first choice Argentina side. So if you haven't been watching a lot of them, I think it's only 2 or 3 players who have changed since they beat Wales. If you look at the back line, Felipe Escara will partner the ever-present and very, very impressive Nicolas Sanchez, who's becoming somewhat of an Argentine rugby legend. One of the highest players in the world, a very, very smooth and calm operator. The two wings, lots and lots of pace from Matias Moroni as well as Batista Delgado. And in the midfield, Genuino de la Fuente, who's become one of the top sort of inside tens in the world, really, as well as Santiago Chugabares, who's also a very good operator, and fullback will be Santiago Carreras. So there's a lot of pace in that Argentine side. I think the center combination of de la Fuente and Chugabares will be a very, very interesting watch tomorrow. Then off the bench for the Argentinians, Facundo Bosch, Carlos Muzio, and Santiago Medrano will be the front row. Thomas Lavanini, very experienced, Matias Almeno, Gonzalo Bertrano, Domenico Miotti, and Sebastian Cancelliera is the bench replacements there. So it's very much a second string Springbok side, very much a first string Argentina side. This Argentina side, as I said, have only lost one game in the last sort of more than 12. I mean, sort of 9 months really. Since the end of lockdown, they've only lost one game, and that was against New Zealand. You know, they've drawn against Australia, they've beaten New Zealand, they've beaten Wales, they've drawn to Wales, they've beat Romania. So they've slayed some big giants over the last sort of couple of months, and they've become a very, very potent side in World Rugby. So it's not going to be a particularly easy clash at all, but it would be a tremendous demonstration of the depth of South African rugby if the Springboks can go out and do a job against a very, very good Argentinian side. So, I think it's a bit of a, it is a lot to lose, because if you go down in this game, suddenly your rugby championship chances become quite slim in terms of having to then go overseas and play the All Blacks potentially at a neutral venue, we're hearing, but play Australia probably twice in Australia, New Zealand potentially twice in New Zealand. It's going to be a big ask if you go 1-0 down against Argentina to then sort of try and make sure you win all the rest of your games. But if the Springboks, or a second team, or a rotated side rather, can get a victory, it's a massive sort of demonstration of just how good the Springbok depth is, and the fact that there are good players in all the different positions, and they can rotate and still get the results they need, which is very important in terms of building out to 2023, in terms of making sure that you've got a good group of 30 to 40, even 50 players who have all had a bit of international experience, can all slot in as and when needs be. Score predictions, I'm probably going to go with the Springboks by 10. I've got to back the Springboks as a Springbok supporter, but let me know what your predictions are. I think it will be quite a tactical game, given the fact that it could be quite wet and could be quite difficult conditions down in Gqeberha at the Nelson Mandela Bay Stadium. We'll be live for this game tomorrow, so come and hang out with me in the watch along. We will also be live for Australia versus New Zealand in the morning with Lacanyo. So go and smash a like on the videos, subscribe, and turn your notifications on so that you do get a little notification whenever we go live. Thank you very much for watching. My name is Steven, and I'll chat to you guys soon.